that we would want for our enemies. Hopefully not. But they are the kinds of things we'd want for our enemies. And if you consider it, my goodness, why do you treat yourself like an enemy to yourself? Now, lots of people are these things, but now the question is, how did God intend us to be? Now, we can sit there and play like an angry fourth grader, and just fold our hands and go, I don't know how God would want me to be, because I don't believe in God. That's not the question. Based off of what you know about religions and based off of what you know about spirituality, you don't have to be ignorant of something just to voice your contempt for it. In fact, if you're angry, if you voice your contempt towards something by saying, I don't know anything about it, all you're doing is demonstrating your ignorance of it. If you're going to be hostile towards something, I'd imagine you should know something about it. I don't know why we celebrate a naivety about it. And by the way, it's a false naivety. We all know the answers to these things. And that's the thing that begs the question in my mind. Why do we try so hard to make people think we don't know anything about these things? Why would we want to be seen as ignorant? What's the thing that you're really running from? See me in 2 years. Well, you'll find out. But how is it that God would intend us to be? Any God would intend us to be. Yeah.
To be virtuous.
Yeah, so He wants us to be virtuous. And what does it mean to be virtuous?
It means to tell the truth, to be, outright. Know what good and bad is,
Listen. Respectful, yeah. What else?
Intelligent.
You think any God would sit there and say, I want this person to be stupid? No. Otherwise, I would make the gods very happy. What else would He want us to be?
Loyal.
Powerful. What's that?
Loyal.
Loyal. Powerful and loyal to the right things, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to love a person is to see them as anxious and deceitful? No. To love a person means to see them the way that God intended them to be. Not the way that we are, not the way that we want to be, but to see us as we're intended to be. And it's an interesting thing to consider. How is it that I would be, whether you believe in God or not, if there was one, how would God intend for me to be? But better yet, how would my parents intend for me to be? Did my parents intend for me to be anxious and deceitful? No. They want me to be depressed and disloyal? No. Anybody who cares about me, would they want me to be any of these things? No. Well then, why would we be those things? Why don't we treat ourselves like we matter? Would you be happy if any of your friends were these things? Self-hating, anxious, depressed, lost in life? No, I don't think any of us would be happy if we had friends who were like that. I'm sorry, I don't think any of us should be happy if we had friends like that. Of course, there are cases where we like surrounding ourselves with people who are less than us because it helps us to, in our own minds, to elevate ourselves. But instead, it's how we would be intended to be. And these are all things, of course, that are attainable. We can be all of these things. You can be virtuous. It's simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. Tell the truth. Or at least, first off, stop saying things that aren't true. That's the first thing first. If you're someone who has difficulty, in fact, if you pay attention to yourself throughout the day, consider how many lies you tell. Consider how many lies you tell. And you might think well, that's just a small lie. That doesn't matter. That's just a little. Just is one of the worst words in your vocabulary. If it's just this, it's probably not just that. It's probably a lead-in to something much greater. That's why we have to downplay it, because we realize intuitively that it's much larger than we're giving it credit for. It's just a small lie. Do you suppose anybody comes out of the gate and just tells one huge lie out of nowhere? How many people come out of the gate and the first crime that they ever commit is mass murder? That's pretty damn rare. It's pretty rare. The first lie that you tell is probably not going to be a huge one. It's probably going to be a bunch of little ones that set the stage for the big one. In fact, those little lies may set the stage for the big lie that you have to tell to cover up all the small ones. It's not how we would intend for our friends to be. How many of us would look at our parents and say, I'm so proud of my parents because they're anxious and deceitful and depressed, all of these things. We would never want this for anybody that we care about. These are the kinds of things that we would want for our enemies. Hopefully not. But they are the kinds of things we'd want for our enemies. And if you consider it, my goodness, why do you treat yourself like an enemy to yourself? Why would we kind of revel in being anxious and deceitful? And a minute ago, why would we revel in being naive and ignorant? We shouldn't be naive and ignorant of anything, even if you disagree with things, even if you shouldn't be ignorant and naive of religions just because you don't follow one. Well, what does that prove? That just gives a person an ammunition to say, that's why you don't follow my religion, because you're ignorant and you're naive. You just don't know. No, it's one thing to know it and still reject it. It's kind of like Shakespeare. I don't know anybody who understands Shakespeare and doesn't like Shakespeare. I know lots of people who don't understand Shakespeare, and therefore they hate Shakespeare. Why? Because Shakespeare reminds them that they don't understand Shakespeare. It's like, why can't we just write off and just go, I have no idea what this guy's saying. I'm confused. Why does that be? He doesn't make any sense. Well, he makes sense, just not to me. And that's fine. Because maybe your life ambition is not to become an expert in Shakespeare. But, therefore, what that probably means is you shouldn't criticize Shakespeare. If you don't understand a religion, you probably shouldn't criticize it. If you don't understand evolution, you probably shouldn't criticize it. If you don't understand atheism, you probably shouldn't criticize it. You should probably only criticize things that we have intimate knowledge of. So and by the way, this is not a way of saying, therefore, shut up. No, this is a way of saying, learn. Learn about the things that matter. If it's worth having an opinion about, it's worth finding out about. You know somebody who people are spreading rumors about them? If it's important enough for you to have an opinion about it, if it's important enough for you to share their rumor, well then my goodness, it should be important enough for you to find out if it's true or not. And then if it's not, it has too much work, then don't spread the rumor. Then don't discuss the idea. And don't negate the positive. But again, maybe we shouldn't treat ourselves like enemies. Or like we want our enemies to be treated. Maybe we should treat ourselves the way that we want our friends to be treated. And then there's interesting things going to happen. You're going to be virtuous. You're going to be a truth teller. At least you'll be someone who doesn't tell lies. You'll be respectful. You'll be intelligent. You'll be powerful. You'll be loyal. You'll be everything that you want out of a friend. And guess what? Suddenly, surprise, surprise, you'll be surrounded by enemies. And friends. Yeah. But the cool thing is that, think about the class of friends you're going to have. Other people who are virtuous, respectful, intelligent, loyal, and powerful. And then when you're surrounded by enemies, what will those enemies look like to you? Just a cloud of gnats. Little tiny flies. That's all they're going to be. And you can joke about the swarm of gnats that's trying to destroy the lions. You're surrounded, you make yourself better. You're going to find yourself surrounded by a better class of people. I don't mean class in terms of wealthy or poor. You're going to find people like this who are wealthy and poor and everything in between. So, fix yourself. I guess that's what I'm saying here. Love yourself. To love yourself means to see yourself as God intended you, intended for you to be seen. Or the way that your parents intended you to be. Or the way that you would intend for your friends to be. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticism, critiques? You want more? I've got more. Do you want more?
Yes, sir.
As long as 3 of you, I guess that's a majority. That's a majority of people who are paying attention.